A very good evening to you once again and welcome to Rwanda Television News. My name is Sam Kalisa.
And I'm Fiona Mbabazi.
Now, starting off into local matters, officials from the Ministries of Local Government and Health are warning the general public that a total lockdown could once be imposed if the people continue easing up on COVID-19 preventive measures. It has been noted that people in different areas of the country are not as keen as they used to be when it comes to fighting the spread of coronavirus. Serge Nore kickstarts tonight's bulletin with this report.
In different places where many people gather, it is not surprising to see some individuals not wearing a face mask or not properly wearing them, not respecting social distancing regulations, and washing facilities at the entrance of public buildings that no longer work. While officials in the Ministry of Local Government are warning that there will be consequences if people do not change their ways. What is clear is that if we continue to become complacent, if people continue to fail to implement the protective measures, there will be no way we will be able to avoid another total lockdown. We might get away with it for another week or two, but eventually that is where we will end up. However, we can choose to avoid it. You asked me what measures must be taken. All we have to do is respect the preventive guidelines in place, nothing more. Institutions in charge of punishing those who fail to respect those guidelines should also pull up their socks because they too are not as vigorous at implementing those penalties as they used to be. I think because infection rates started going down significantly, people also began to deceive themselves that we had defeated COVID. That is the sort of mistake you have been seeing across the globe, with countries that had come out of total lockdown now going back into it. We therefore must avoid that path as Rwanda. Health officials are saying a lot of effort is going to be put on ensuring that the measures are respected, especially in prisons where infection rates have been on the rise. In all prisons across the country, measures have been taken to control the number of people that come and go, especially those who are going there to do different jobs. We make sure all equipment brought in is sprayed with disinfectant, as well as other supplies so that when they are unloaded, they do not spread the virus. We are also doing a lot of sensitization among employees and their families, as well as inmates and their relatives, that they should wear their masks properly, even those in prison and communities living close to those prisons. Social distancing should also be respected and people should avoid touching each other unnecessarily. The good thing about this illness is that it is not hard to avoid. Local leaders are also being urged to ensure that their communities respect the preventive measures in place at all times.
Now, the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning says it is ready to ease the burden on the private sector by removing some of the barriers to access to credit from the Government Recovery Fund that was set up to support the private sector that was hit hard by the COVID-19 effects. Now, the Private Sector Federation says that the number of those who have acquired the loan is still small, yet they make up a large number of traders.
On April 30th, 2020, the Cabinet approved 100 billion Rand francs recovery fund to help the private sector affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Of this amount, about 15 billion Rand francs was allocated to the private sector and small and medium enterprises and 5 billion Rand francs to micro enterprises. However, some traders also say that they did not know about the fund and that they still need the help as their activities were halted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Some of these traders deal in car spare parts and flower selling. Cars weren't moving, so we did not sell any spare part. Even the little money you could get was used to cater for home basic needs. That's how we lost.
Many people no longer go for burial ceremonies. Even many parties stopped. Everyone dealing in flower decoration and no longer have jobs. The government should help us get that money to help us recover what was destroyed due to coronavirus.
I think people should create cooperatives because one person can't manage restarting. Some people are honest but can't get a starting point. The fact that small business owners do not register their businesses, Robert Bafakurera, chairman of the Private Sector Federation, says does not allow them to get the loan. Micro and small businesses were highly affected because the little working capital was used at the time they were not working. We therefore have to partner with the government so that the private sector support can reach them. Because when the support reaches small enterprises, which make up the large working number, makes it easy for the economy to recover. The Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Dr. Uzziel Ndagijimana, says the government is ready to negotiate with the private sector to remove these barriers. The government of Rwanda, together with the Private Sector Federation, are following up on the implementation of this program in order to put our economy on the same growth rate as it was before the pandemic. I encourage the private sector to make use of this support and to show us the hindrances they face so that they can be tackled as soon as possible. Economic expert and lecturer at University of Kigali, Dr. Claude Rusibana, says young entrepreneurs should have people to help them prepare and fill required documents and explain to many traders about the recovery fund, which many people do not know about. Those who support small enterprise businesses should always be available to guide small entrepreneurs how to plan for their businesses. Secondly, sensitization about the recovery fund should be increased to help small enterprises know how it works. Thirdly, they should be taught perfect business proposal formats that can be funded. As of August this year, the hospitality sector had already received 43 billion Rwandan francs out of the 50 billion Rwandan francs allowed in the recovery fund, due to the fact that about 148 hotels have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Large enterprises were allocated 30 billion Rwandan francs, small enterprises were allocated 15 billion Rwandan francs, and small enterprises 5 billion Rwandan francs. BDF was given 3 billion Rwandan francs as business collateral, and 2 billion Rwandan francs were allocated for savings and credit cooperatives, commonly known as SACCO. Now, the Speaker of the Chamber of Deputies, Honorable Donatil Mukabalisa, says that the work done by members of Parliament, the Chamber of Deputies, should take into account interests of people as they are the ones who they represent, and that they accelerate the desired changes in the country. Martina Abera gives us more on this.
Deputies and staff of the Assembly, the Chamber of Deputies has started a 4-day training course to help them improve their performance and interaction with other agencies, and to better understand their responsibilities related to identifying and monitoring the activities of the government. What they're going to be trained on is a new strategy approved by the General Assembly that will help them to better fulfill their responsibilities to legislate, identify and monitor the activities of the government, the role of standing commissions, to better understand the relationship between the Assembly and other institutions, and how to promote the activities of the Chamber of Deputies. At the beginning of the training, the Speaker of the Chamber of Deputies, Honorable Donatil Mukabalisa, said the training was a great way to exchange views on their performance and how their performance could accelerate the desired changes in the country.
Mwese muribuka impanuro zikomeye twahawe na nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika.
All of you remember the great advice given to you by His Excellency, the President of the Republic, at the commencement of this term on September 19, 2018, at our swearing-in ceremony, where he reminded us of the responsibilities of the Parliament and how efforts need to be made to achieve better results for the benefit of the people in a way that they can be able to develop themselves and thus further boost the economy of our country. The training comes at a time when the world is developing rapidly, but is also facing a number of challenges with a new outlook, which in turn increases the demands of the people, and the MP is required to enact laws that address those issues, change the lives of those they represent, and how government programs community developed is designed for them.
Arasabwa kugenzura uko gahunda za guverinoma zishyirwa mu bikorwa mu buryo buteza imbere umuturage ziba zigenewe.
The Deputy Speaker of Parliament in the Chamber of Deputies, Honorable Edem Mukawagwiza, says some of the changes in the process include looking at how the laws that were put solved the problems that triggered the laws to be placed in the first place. We understand that while 6 months ago the law was published in the Official Gazette of the Republic of Rwanda, based on its responsibilities, the Permanent Commission reviewed the law, which should also consider 3 elements, which is to see if what is required of the law was addressed, the content of the law, or if the regulations meet the requirements of the published law, and if the provisions of the law are established. Following the best practices, let's move forward and say what you need from someone. 30% of your time was used for this, 40% was done for this, 15% for this, 5% for this, and then I evaluate myself as well, and I can be able to say that according to where the country is heading, I am using my time correctly in a way that I can contribute to the development of the country.
Igihe cyanjye nanjye ndiho ndagicunga neza ku buryo ntanga wa musaruro igihugu kintegerejeho.
Hari nk'ibibazo twahuye nabyo nakwita kari nk'iby'ingutu.
There are some issues that we faced that I could call stressful, which required our urgent attention. We also faced issues concerning school buildings or chairs that are not yet available, and we know that children are going back to school soon. As a matter of urgency, the government also urges us to immediately pass the bill. We as an assembly see that it is urgent and demand that it be implemented.
Bikaba byahita bishyirwa mu bikorwa tukareba uko byagenda niba byashyirwa mu itegeko cyangwa ubundi buryo byakorwamo.
During the training, MPs will listen to representations that will help them to better understand how research is done before and during the preparation of a bill, how the law is made public, and how the law is evaluated. The training comes following a just concluded outreach program by the parliamentarians. Martina Abera, RTV News.
Well, thank you, Martina, for that story. The private sector in Rwanda have expressed their gratitude for the international exhibition that is set to be reopened. They take this as another opportunity to showcase their products on the international level. Now, this exhibition is expected to start running from the 11th to the 31st of December this year. Giselle Muganeza with more.
Specious Mukana Gwabira lives in Gahanga sector. She makes things like bags and clothes by using locally available raw materials. She's an entrepreneur that has participated in different exhibitions, and she's happy that the exhibition that got closed because of the COVID-19 is about to reopen. We are ready to take different bags so that people can be smart on Christmas wearing our handmade clothes and carrying bags made in Rwanda. I'll wear my mask properly at the exhibition, as well as having a hand sanitizer to sanitize myself when necessary, and we'll use mobile money as a means of payment. The local manufacturer have also said that they have started booking their exhibition stands and will proudly display made in Rwanda products.
Ariko inkuru nziza bamaze kudutangariza igihe rizatangirira.
After learning the good news about the exhibition reopening, we were very happy because it is a way of showing what we do. Because of the coronavirus, many people lost their hope. When this exhibition reopens, we will show Rwandans that life goes on and we're still doing what we used to do to satisfy our country's demand. We got registered.
Twamaze kwiyandikisha.
Exhibitors registration has already begun and it will end on the 26th of this month of November. Currently, 76% of the exhibitors have already taken their stands at the expo ground Gikondo. The spokesperson of the Private Sector Federation, Theonos Tenajenjergwa, has announced that there are measures to put in place during the exhibition in order to fight the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Washing hands before entering will be respected. And as you know that people usually pay before entering the exhibition, we'll put more efforts in cashless payments. The visitors will be opening doors for themselves as well as finding hand sanitizers at every stand that they will visit in order to fight the spread of COVID-19. Another thing is that there are volunteers that will help in reminding people to respect measures in place.
The last international exhibition in 2019 saw the participation of 462 exhibitors, including 122 from foreign countries, and the total number of visitors was more than 320,000 people. This year, hand washing stations are being constructed at the expo ground as a way of fighting the spread of COVID-19. The expo will run from the 11th to 31st of December.
Now we bring you up to date with the COVID status in the country. Total cases recorded so far 5,242 plus 20 new cases that were recorded today. Those that have recovered so far, that is 4,967 plus 7 new recoveries. Active cases 237. Tests that have been conducted so far 571, 902 plus 1,293 tests that were conducted today. those that have died today, too, the number of those rather that have died today have gone up to 2, meaning that we have 38 deaths in the country caused by the COVID-19. Test positivity rate 1.5%. Now, of the 20 total cases that were recorded today, we have 1 from Kigali, 3 from Huye, Kayonza 1, Kirehe 1, Rwamagana 14. And of course, condolences to the family of the 2 45-year-old men that have passed away in Rwamagana district. Signed Ministry of Health. To other matters now, school administrators in Rubavu district of the Western Province have asked the Ministry of Education to help them address problems they have been facing since students returned to school 1 week ago, including revising fees paid, saying the costs sustaining the students in boarding schools have increased since they were last there. Now, this comes as the Minister of State in charge of primary and secondary education visited several secondary schools in the district this Monday. Gaspard Kwajirayezu went on record to say that such issues will be addressed within 3 months and that the priority now is to get students back to school. The State Minister also urged the school administrators to ensure that the students respect COVID-19 measures in place, as some of the schools were found to have relaxed the enforcement of the measures. Now, figures from the Ministry of Education indicate that more than 80% of students have now returned to school. Over to you, Sam.
Yes, solar energy companies in collaboration with the Rwanda Development Bank, BRD, have announced that they are going to invest about 1.5 billion Rwandan francs in solar panels, while some locals say that they are still facing consequences of lack of electricity. This comes across section of citizens are yet to enjoy this. We do have the story.
Mukarutesi Janvier, a resident of Bugesera district in Nyamata sector, says that their area have not developed due to lack of electricity. Only 3 people have solar energy. It is expensive. We cannot afford it. We use torches or our phones to light up the houses. If we got electricity, we would work and even get saloons and many other things. This is an issue faced by many people. According to statistics, only 56.7% of the citizens have electricity. 41.3% is from the main grid supplied by the Rwanda Energy Group. 15.4% use solar energy. This comes even as the government envisions to have homes lit up by 2024 at a rate of 100%. Off-grid energy will account for 48%, while on-grid energy will account for 52%. Through Chanuhendukirwe project, the prices of solar energy are said to be reduced through partnership with the Rwanda Development Bank, BRD, with a tune of 1.5 billion Rwandan francs. Those under the first category of Ubudehe will get this at a rate of 90%, with beneficiaries covering 10%. We will have trained agents and will pay them a commission. Within a year, we hope that through SACCOs, they will be able to use the money and keep reconnections. It is expected that 500 SACCO agents will be trained on solar distribution for 2 weeks. The beneficiaries will get grants according to the Ubudehe categories. The first will be accorded 90%, second 70%, and the third category 45%.
And on behalf of the entire news team that made this happen, we thank you very much for being with us. My name remains Sam Kalisa.
And I'm Fiona Mbabazi. Do remember, of course, to keep wearing your face mask correctly.
Wash your hands regularly with clean water and soap.
Sanitize and, of course, maintain the social distancing because together
we can stop the spread of COVID-19.
Have yourselves a lovely evening, a blessed and fruitful week ahead.